Michael and Sarah Brooks faced an unfair battle when their HOA demanded they remove their warm porch bulbs, claiming they violated strict community rules. Janice Harper, the ruthless HOA chair, pushed relentless threats that felt more like bullying than enforcement. But Sarah, a proud combat veteran, fought back boldly, mailing her discharge papers and rallying the neighborhood to their side. Just wait until you hear how this small family's stand turned the tide and justice ultimately prevailed. Michael and Sarah Brooks had settled into their quiet life in a peaceful Virginia neighborhood. Their modest home, with its cozy porch adorned by soft, warm yellow bulbs, was a small sanctuary after years of challenges, especially for Sarah, who had recently returned from active duty in the military. For her, that gentle porch light was more than decoration. It was a symbol of safety and comfort, a sharp contrast to the harshness she had faced overseas. One afternoon, Michael checked the mailbox and pulled out an official letter from their homeowners association. The formal tone of the letter immediately set off alarm bells. It said their porch bulbs violated community standards, claiming the warm yellow glow was not in compliance and needed to be removed immediately. The letter warned of fines if they failed to comply. The words hit Sarah hard. After everything she had been through, to be told that something as simple as porch lights was a problem felt both absurd and deeply unfair. It wasn't just about the bulbs. It was about being controlled and judged by rules that seemed cold and out of touch. The shock wasn't just in the letter itself, but in how such a small detail could spiral into a fight over their right to make their house a home. Janice Harper was the kind of person who thrived on control. As the chair of the HOA, she took her role very seriously, maybe too seriously. To her, every detail of the neighborhood had to look perfect, and no rule was too small to enforce. When the Brooks family didn't respond quickly enough to the porch bulb warning, Janice's tone in her follow-up letters turned cold and uncompromising. She threatened fines, late fees, and even legal action if they didn't remove the non-compliant lights immediately. Her words were sharp, leaving no room for discussion or understanding. To Sarah, who was used to clear orders, but also to fairness, Janice's rigid attitude felt less like rule enforcement and more like a personal attack. The simple warmth of their porch lights had become a battleground, and Janice's relentless pressure made Sarah's frustration grow into something stronger. A deep dislike for the HOA chair's ruthless way of flexing power over their home. What should have been a small neighborhood matter was now a fight over respect, dignity, and the right to live without unnecessary harassment. The constant pressure from the HOA pushed Sarah to her breaking point. She was proud of her service, proud of the sacrifices she made for her country, and she refused to be bullied over something as trivial as porch bulbs. Fed up with the cold, threatening letters, Sarah took a bold stand. She mailed back her official combat discharge papers along with a firm letter, reminding the HOA that they were dealing with a veteran, someone who wouldn't back down in the face of unjust treatment. Janice, far from backing off, doubled down. The threats escalated with warnings about mounting fines and even legal steps. But this time, the Brooks family wasn't alone. Michael reached out to neighbors, sharing their story and rallying support. Many in the community sympathized with the family, seeing the HOA's strict rules as unreasonable and unfair. What started as a small complaint quickly grew into a neighborhood issue. Neighbors began speaking up, questioning the harsh enforcement, And standing beside the Brooks family, the community's support shone a light on the HOA's inflexibility, exposing the real cost of their rigid rules and giving Sarah and Michael the strength to keep fighting. The day of the HOA meeting arrived and tension filled the room. Michael and Sarah sat side by side, facing the board that had caused them so much stress. But they were no longer alone. Neighbors packed the room, many ready to voice their support. As the discussion unfolded, it became clear the community had rallied behind the Brooks family. Voices spoke up against the harsh enforcement, arguing for fairness and common sense. The HOA board, pressed by the United Front, had little choice but to back down. They formally withdrew their threats and agreed to review and revise the rules, promising a more reasonable approach going forward. Sarah felt a wave of relief and quiet pride. She smiled, knowing that by standing firm, she'd not only protected her home, but also reminded everyone that justice isn't reserved just for battlefields. It's something worth fighting for everywhere, even on a simple porch.